Have you ever just looked at the state of the world, at all the political chaos, and thought, there has to be a better way? A system that just works. One that cuts through all the noise and runs on pure, cold, rational efficiency. Well, there's a name for that idea. It's called technocracy. And it's not just some theory in a book. It's like an operating system for society that's being installed right now all around us.
But here's the question that really gets under your skin. Is this big push for a world run by experts really the path to a perfectly optimized utopia? Or is it the blueprint for a perfectly controlled digital dictatorship? The line between those two things is a lot thinner than you might think. So let's get into it. First up, you have to understand the appeal. Because, let's be real, who isn't completely fed up with political gridlock and debates that go absolutely nowhere? The promise of technocracy is so appealing, so seductive, because it whispers this really simple solution to all that mess. It kind of feels like an escape hatch.
And the sales pitch? Well, it sounds incredibly smart. Think about it. When a country's economy is about to collapse, who do they bring in? Unelected technocrats who can force through the tough, bitter pill reforms that politicians are just too afraid to touch. And for massive, tangled problems like climate change or pandemics, the idea of data-driven, logical solutions is, well, it's a huge relief. You can't really argue with the insane efficiency of a place like Estonia, where pretty much all of government is just a seamless online service. The whole idea is to find the one best way and just do it, instead of arguing forever.
But here's the thing. This is not some new idea that was cooked up in a Silicon Valley garage. This quote right here shows that for more than 100 years, some of the biggest thinkers and leaders have been absolutely obsessed with this dream of a perfectly engineered society, one run by, the smartest people in the room.
So if we really want to understand where all this is headed, we have to look back at where it came from. And believe me, it has a long, fascinating, and kind of weird history, built by engineers, social scientists, and philosophers.
Okay, so it all kind of starts back in the 1800s with this guy, Saint Simon. He argued that government shouldn't be about ruling people, but about efficiently administering things. Then you get Frederick Taylor and his scientific management, this total obsession with finding the single most efficient way to do literally any task. Fast forward to the Great Depression, and you've got this whole technocracy movement, led by Howard Scott, seriously proposing to get rid of money and run the entire economy on units of energy. And then, as recently as 1970, you had Zbigniew Brzezinski predicting that we were entering a technotronic era, where technology itself would decide who gets to be in charge.
So what does this all boil down to? Here's the most important part. Technocracy is a system where your right to rule comes from what you know, not who you know or how many votes you can charm out of people. It's basically governance by expertise, period.
But you know how it goes. Every perfect dream casts a long, dark shadow. The very things that make technocracy sound so good, all that efficiency, data, and centralized control, are also the exact same ingredients you'd need for a brand new, terrifying kind of authoritarianism. So, let's talk about the price of perfection.
This quote, it's provocative for a reason. What it's saying is that maybe we're all looking in the wrong direction, at the wrong isms. It suggests that the ultimate form of control isn't going to be a political ideology at all. It's going to be a technical one, a system that doesn't need soldiers in the streets when it has servers in the cloud.
And this is the pivot point. The dream of a totally rational world can flip, and flip fast, into the nightmare of a scientific dictatorship. Because when you take politics out of the equation, you're also taking out debate and dissent and accountability. You're replacing all of that with cold, hard, unquestionable calculation. And these are not just some abstract fears for the future. We're talking about the black box problem, where some hidden algorithm denies you a loan or a job or puts you on a no-fly list, and you have absolutely no idea why and no way to appeal. We're already seeing smart city surveillance being used to track protesters. And maybe most importantly, we're seeing this massive privatization of power, where essential public services get handed over to tech companies whose main goal is profit for their shareholders, not the public good. The crazy part is, this isn't science fiction. This system is being built right now all around us. It's weaving itself into the very fabric of our lives. And a lot of the time, we don't even notice it's happening. Just look at the idea of a smart city. The promise is this beautiful, optimized, efficient urban paradise. But the risk? The reality could be a digital cage. Every move you make, every bus you take, every service you use, it all just generates data that feeds back into the system. The goal might be efficiency, but the tool is always surveillance. And this right here? This explains the fundamental shift in how power works. For all of history, we've lived under what you'd call ex post governance. That means after the fact. You break a rule, you face the consequences, right? But we are rapidly moving toward ex ante governance, governance by design. What does that mean? It's the difference between getting a speeding ticket and driving a car that is literally coded to be physically incapable of ever breaking the speed limit. The control is baked right into the architecture of your life.
And don't ever think this system is neutral. It's not. These algorithms, they learn from our messy, biased world. And that means they can end up deciding who gets on a transplant list, which schools get more funding, and which neighborhoods get targeted by predictive policing, all while just reinforcing the same old inequalities. An algorithm could even prioritize fixing potholes in rich neighborhoods just because more people there have the app to report them. It's that subtle. I know this all can feel completely overwhelming, like this massive, unstoppable force, but it's not. The future isn't set in stone yet, and you, yes, you, have a critical role to play in deciding how it gets written. It's really easy to feel powerless against these giant technological shifts, but you're not. So the real question we have to ask ourselves is, what can we actually do about it? Here are 3 real, concrete things. First, map the infrastructure. Get to know what sensors, what cameras, what algorithms are being used right there in your own town. Second, demand transparency. Just like we have environmental impact reports for construction, we need algorithmic impact assessments to understand the potential harm before a system is ever turned on. And third, promote slow governance. This is a simple but totally radical idea that we should actually talk to each other as a community and decide what we value and what we need before we rush out to buy some shiny new tech fix. And you know, this whole new landscape isn't just creating problems, it's creating entirely new jobs, a whole new set of careers on both sides of this fight. This is the new front line. On one side, you've got the people building the system, the smart city architects, the algorithm developers. But on the other side, you have this growing army of advocates, people who are algorithmic auditors, who test these systems for bias, digital rights advocates fighting for our freedoms, and strategic litigators who are challenging these very systems in court. This is a brand new frontier where technology, law, and civil rights all collide. Ultimately, it really all comes down to this one choice. We are at this critical moment where we have to decide what actually matters to us. Because if we don't actively and intentionally embed our values like fairness and justice and privacy, into the DNA of the systems we build, we risk waking up one day in a world where the most efficient answer has quietly replaced the right one. If you want to go way deeper on all this and really get a handle on how emerging tech is shaping our world, I seriously recommend checking out the A Black Girl's Guide series on emerging technology. You can find it right on Amazon. And hey, leave a comment below on topics you want us to take a deep dive in. We will research it from a lens that will uplift everyone.